want to tell you something that took me years to figure out. Most people who struggle with money aren't struggling because they lack information. They're struggling because the right piece of information never landed at the right moment. You might already know you should invest. You might know debt is dangerous. You might have a list of tips saved somewhere on your phone that you've never actually opened. Here's what I know for certain. Out of the next 100 rules I'm about to share, at least 3 of them will hit you differently today than they would have a year ago. Because you're not the same person. Your situation has shifted. And one of these, maybe number 12, maybe number 67, might be the exact thing that changes everything. I've organized these into 7 sections. Skip to the one that's most broken in your life right now. But don't assume you've mastered a section just because you've heard of it. Let's go. The mindset that makes everything else work. Rule 1. Decide, right now, that financial freedom is actually meant for you. Not for people born into the right zip code, not for people with the right last name for you. If you don't believe it, your behavior will prove you right. Rule 2. Get brutal clarity on your why. I want to be rich will not survive the first hard month. I never want my daughter to watch me cry over a bill the way I watched my mother that will. Make it specific. Make it painful. Write it down. Rule 3. Calculate your actual freedom number. Take your real monthly expenses, strip out the things you only spend on because you're stressed, and multiply the rest by 300. That's how much invested capital you need to never work again. Everything else is just a plan to reach that number. Rule 4. Front-load the sacrifice. The people who coast in their 20s don't retire early. The people who work like their future depends on it because it does create options in their 30s that the coasters will never have. Rule 5. Stop doing what the majority does with money. Look around. Most people are one missed paycheck from a crisis. If average is your benchmark, average is your ceiling. Rule 6. Get comfortable being financially unusual. Drive the older car. Shop at discount stores. Live in the smaller apartment. The embarrassment lasts a season. The freedom lasts a lifetime. Rule 7. Replace willpower with systems. Willpower is a limited resource, it runs out. A system that moves money automatically before you can touch it doesn't have a bad day. Rule 8. Commit to continuous financial education. Not one book, not one video, a permanent habit. The person you'll be in 5 years is being built by what you consume between now and then. Rule 9. Handle the obvious wins first. Call your internet provider and ask for a loyalty discount. Compare your car insurance rate right now. Cancel 3 subscriptions you've forgotten about. This takes 2 hours and can save you $200 a month forever. Rule 10. Understand that I'll start next month is a lie you tell yourself. Research on procrastination is clear. The activation threshold never lowers on its own. Start today. Even if it's one small thing. Rule 11. Know what you actually value before you write a single budget category. A budget that ignores your real values is a budget you will abandon in week 2. Rule 12. Track your net worth every single month. Assets minus liabilities. The number matters less than the direction. If it's moving up, you're winning, even slowly. Rule 13. Stop comparing your financial chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 15. The person you envy may have had a decade head start, inherited money, or be sitting on credit card debt behind that Instagram feed. Rule 14. Expect to make financial mistakes. Expect them, budget for them emotionally, and make peace with them. The goal is to learn from them faster than average. Rule 15. Accept that money is emotional first and logical second. Fear, status, anxiety, childhood scarcity, these run your financial decisions more than any spreadsheet. Understanding that gives you power over it. Saving and spending where most people leak wealth. Here's a number that will shock you. The average household in the US throws away over $1,400 a year in literal food waste. That's before we even talk about subscriptions, impulse purchases, and bank fees. Rule 16. Target a savings rate between 50 and 75% of your income. I know that sounds extreme. It is. That's exactly why it works. At 10%, financial freedom takes 40 years. At 50%, it takes roughly 17. Rule 17. Before you optimize anything small, fix the 3 categories that consume most of your income: housing, transportation, and food. A cheaper apartment saves more than 1,000 skipped coffees. Rule 18. Look into house hacking. Buy a small multi-unit property, live in one unit, rent the others. Your tenants effectively pay your mortgage while you build equity. It's not a hack. It's what serious wealth builders have always done. Rule 19. Buy a reliable used vehicle, 5 to 10 years old, in cash. Drive it for 3 years. Sell it for close to what you paid. Free transportation. The math works. Rule 20. Meal plan every single week. Not because it's wholesome advice, because the average household wastes over $1,400 in food every year. That's money you worked for going directly into the trash. Rule 21. Audit your subscriptions today. Every single one. If you haven't opened it in 30 days, cancel it. The average person is paying for services they genuinely don't remember signing up for. Rule 22. Buy generic. Store brand medications, groceries, and household products are often made in the same factories as the branded versions. You're paying for the label, nothing else. Rule 23. Use credit card welcome bonuses deliberately. Sign up, hit the minimum spend using purchases you were already making, collect the points, cancel before the annual fee hits. Done right, this can fund 2 international flights per year at 0 additional cost. Rule 24. Pay 0 in bank fees. Switch to a no-fee account. There is no reason to give a financial institution money simply for holding your money. Rule 25. Use credit cards correctly or don't use them at all. The average APR right now is over 22%. The moment you carry a balance, every reward you've earned disappears into interest charges. Rule 26. Make coffee at home. I'm not telling you to never enjoy a coffee shop. I'm telling you that a $5 a day habit costs $1,825 a year, and that money invested at 10% over 30 years becomes over $300,000. Rule 27. Pack your lunch 4 days a week. Eating out consistently costs 2 to 3 times more than cooking. You don't need to be a chef. You need a meal prep Sunday. Rule 28. Stop buying things because they're on sale. A discount on something you didn't need is not savings. It's a purchase disguised as savings. Rule 29. Calculate cost per use before every significant purchase. A $200 quality jacket worn 200 times costs $1 per wear. A $40 jacket worn 3 times costs $13. Quality wins. Rule 30. Avoid extended warranties. Retailers make 80% margins on them. They're statistically betting against you. Take that money and put it in an emergency fund instead. Rule 31. Stop buying bottled water. A quality water filter costs less than 1 month of bottled water. The math is embarrassing. Rule 32. Negotiate everything that recurs. Internet, insurance, phone plans. Call, mention a competitor's price, and ask them to match it. The worst outcome is a 2-minute conversation that changes nothing. Rule 33. Use the 7-2-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Want something? Write it down and wait 3 days. In my experience, 80% of the time you'll forget you wanted it. Rule 34. Invest in quality for anything between you and the ground, your mattress, your shoes, your desk chair. The savings from the cheap version will be erased by back problems and replacement costs. Rule 35. Automate your savings on payday. Before your brain registers the money as available, it should already be gone. You cannot spend what you never see. Debt the slow leak that drowns most people. I want you to think about someone you know who looks financially successful on the outside. Nice car, nice clothes, nice vacations. Now consider the possibility that they're one job loss away from a complete collapse, because for millions of people, that's the reality. Rule 36. Understand the difference between debt that builds wealth and debt that destroys it. A mortgage on a rental property puts money in your account every month. A car loan on a depreciating vehicle takes it out. Rule 37. Attack your highest interest debt first. If you have a credit card at 22% and a student loan at 5%, You destroy the credit card first. Mathematically, every dollar you put there earns a guaranteed 22% return. Rule 38. Don't automatically pay down a low-rate mortgage early. If your mortgage rate is 3% and you can average 9% in the market, the math says invest the difference. This isn't reckless, it's arithmetic. Rule 39. But sometimes, ignore the math. If debt causes you genuine psychological stress, pay it off even when the numbers say don't. Peace of mind has real value that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. Rule 40. Never consolidate debt without changing the behavior that created it. Consolidation without behavioral change just clears the runway for more debt. Rule 41. Be very deliberate about student loans. If you don't know what you want to do with your life, borrowing 6 figures for a degree is one of the most expensive bets you can make. Rule 42. Never take a payday loan. Ever. The effective annualized rates can exceed 400%. These products exist to trap people. There is no version of this that ends well. Rule 43. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund before you do anything else. This is the foundation. Without it, every unexpected expense goes onto a credit card, and you're back to square one. Rule 44. Keep your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Right now, those are paying 4 to 5%. On a $20,000 emergency fund, that's roughly $900 a year for doing nothing except putting your money in the right place. Rule 45. Know your debt-free date. Not approximately. Exactly. Calculate when you'll be free if you maintain your current payments. A specific date turns an abstract goal into a countdown. Earning more because cutting costs has a floor. Here's something most financial content won't tell you. Frugality alone cannot make you wealthy. At some point, you've cut everything you can cut, and you're still not where you want to be. That's when earning becomes the only lever left. Rule 46. Be careful with side hustles that trade time for money at a fixed rate. Delivery and rideshare have a ceiling. Content, digital products, and consulting can scale without a proportional increase in your hours. Rule 47. Test ideas quickly and cheaply. You don't know what will work until it works. The person who tries 10 different things in 2 years and finds one that sticks is ahead of the person who spent 2 years planning. Rule 48. Early in your career, optimize for skills, not salary. The skills you build in your 20s will determine your income ceiling for the next 3 decades. Take the job that teaches you more, even if it pays less today. Rule 49. Build multiple income streams deliberately. A salary plus rental income plus dividend income plus a side project means that losing any one of them is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. Rule 50. Negotiate your salary every single year. Most people never ask. Most companies have a budget for raises that goes unspent. Research your market rate. Document your wins. Make the ask. Rule 51. Budget your time as aggressively as your money. Track where it actually goes for 1 week. The results are always uncomfortable and always illuminating. Rule 52. Decide your time is worth a specific hourly rate and mean it. When you operate as if your time is worth $150 an hour, you stop accepting $15 an hour tasks. The mindset shift changes behavior. Rule 53. Double down on your strengths. Don't try to fix your weaknesses. The market rewards exceptional performance in a narrow area. It does not reward mediocrity across many areas. Rule 54. Create content around what you know. A YouTube channel, a newsletter, a podcast. Even a small audience can produce meaningful income, and the process of teaching forces you to master the subject. Rule 55. Be intentional about your professional circle, not transactionally genuinely. Spend time with people who challenge you financially. Their standards become your standards. Rule 56. Take calculated risks. Playing it completely safe produces completely average results. Understand the downside fully, then decide if the upside justifies it. Rule 57. Learn to sell. Getting hired is selling, getting promoted is selling, starting a business is selling. This skill compounds in every direction for the rest of your life. Rule 58. Pursue remote or location-flexible work. It eliminates commute costs, reduces wardrobe costs, and opens the door to geographic arbitrage. Rule 59. Build a freedom fund separate from your emergency fund. This one isn't for disasters. It's for opportunities taking a pay cut for a better role, funding a project, moving to a new city without panic. Rule 60. If your employer matches 401k contributions, contribute at least enough to get the full match. It's an instant 50 to 100% return on that money before it's even invested. Not taking it is leaving your own money on the table. Rule 61. Learn AI tools now while it's still an advantage. In 3 years, these will be table stakes. Right now, they're a significant differentiator in productivity and output quality. Rule 62. Build a professional online presence, not for vanity, because future employers, clients, and partners will search for you. A clear, credible digital footprint opens doors that cold applications never will. Rule 63. Start before you feel ready. You will never feel ready. Action creates clarity. Waiting creates more waiting. Where wealth actually gets built. There's a mistake I see constantly. Someone spends years getting out of debt, builds their savings, and then lets it sit in a checking account until they figure out investing. Inflation is eating 3 to 4% of that money every single year they wait. Rule 64. Invest in low-cost index funds. The S&P 500 has outperformed the majority of actively managed funds over the long run with an expense ratio under 0.1%. You don't need to be clever. You need to be consistent. Rule 65. Automate your investment contributions. Weekly or monthly, same amount, regardless of what the market is doing. When the decision is removed, the behavior becomes automatic. Rule 66. Stop trying to time the market. In theory, buying low and selling high is obvious. In practice, almost no one does it successfully over a decade. Time in the market beats timing the market reliably, consistently, historically. Rule 67. Truly understand compound interest, not as a concept, as a physical reality of your money. $5,000 invested at 9% per year becomes $66,000 in 30 years without adding a single dollar. The math is almost offensive in how powerful it is if you start early. Rule 68. Consider rental property once you've mastered the basics. Monthly cash flow plus appreciation plus tax advantages. The barrier is higher than stocks. The returns can be significantly higher too. Rule 69. Use the house hacking progression as a long-term real estate strategy. Live in the first property while renting units, buy a second after 2 years, repeat. Within a decade, you can own multiple properties with tenants covering most of the costs. Rule 70. Dollar cost average without exception. Same amount, same schedule, regardless of market conditions or your emotional state. You'll buy more shares when they're cheap. You'll buy fewer when they're expensive. Over time, this averages into a strong position. Rule 71. Remove your emotions from investing. The urge to sell during a crash and buy during a rally is powerful and exactly wrong. If checking your portfolio makes you want to do something, stop checking. Rule 72. Match your investment allocation to your timeline and your actual stress tolerance. A 2-8-year-old can be aggressive. A 5-8-year-old cannot afford to. Be honest about how you'll actually behave during a 30% market drop. Rule 73. Understand tax-advantaged accounts and use them maximally. A Roth IRA, a 401k, an HSA. These are legal mechanisms to keep more of what you earn. Not using them is overpaying taxes by choice. Rule 74. Never chase recent performance. By the time a stock, sector, or fund appears in a headline as a top performer, the professionals have already priced in the information and positioned accordingly. Rule 75. Understand what inflation is actually doing to your cash. $100,000 held in a zero-interest account in 2020 had the buying power of roughly $83,000 by 2024. If your cash isn't growing, at least at the rate of inflation, it's shrinking. Rule 76. Invest in yourself before any external asset. $500 on a high-quality course or mentorship that increases your earning power can return more than $500 in the market. Knowledge is the only asset nobody can take from you. Rule 77. Read consistently. One book a month on finance, business, psychology, or history. The compounding effect of ideas is as real as the compounding effect of money. Rule 78. Diversify across asset classes. Stocks, bonds, real estate, cash. No single asset class wins permanently. Spread the risk without spreading so thin that you dilute the returns. Rule 79. Reinvest dividends automatically. This is one of the most effortless things you can do to accelerate compounding. Set it once. Let it run. Rule 80. Ignore daily financial news as a driver of decisions. The news cycle is engineered to create urgency where none exists for a long-term investor. Zoom out. The 10-year trend is the only one that matters to your wealth. Advanced strategies for when the basics are locked in. Rule 81. Learn to use leverage responsibly. A well-purchased rental property with 10% down means you're controlling an asset 10 times the size of your investment. The gains accrue to you. The key word is well-purchased. Rule 82. Optimize for cash flow before net worth. A portfolio that looks impressive on paper but generates no monthly income doesn't help you live a free life. Rule 83. Build financial systems for everything. When saving, investing, and bill payments operate automatically, you've removed the single biggest point of failure: human inconsistency. Rule 84. Understand business structures. At the right income levels, moving from sole proprietor to an LLC to an S-Corp can legally save tens of thousands per year in taxes. Get professional advice. Act on it. Rule 85. Use geographic arbitrage when possible. Earn a salary calibrated to an expensive city while living somewhere with a fraction of the cost. Remote work has made this accessible to more people than at any point in history. Rule 86. Build your estate plan while you're young enough to think about it calmly. A will, a power of attorney, beneficiary designations. This is not a morbid exercise. It's the final act of financial responsibility. Rule 87. Once your foundation is solid, consider alternative investments in small allocations. Private companies, angel rounds, specialty assets. The risk is real. So is the asymmetric upside. Rule 88. Outsource low-value tasks aggressively. If a virtual assistant handles work that frees you to do something worth 10 times the cost, that's not spending, it's arbitrage. Rule 89. Build a team. There is a ceiling on what any single person can create alone. Learn to hire, delegate, and trust. The people who build real wealth almost always do it through other people. Rule 90. Think in decades. Most people wildly overestimate what they'll accomplish in 1 year and catastrophically underestimate what they'll accomplish in 10. Patience is not passive. It's strategic. Because freedom without satisfaction is just a different kind of prison. Rule 91. Define what enough looks like for you and mean it. Without a definition, you'll keep moving the goalpost forever. Name the number. Name the lifestyle. Then stop chasing something bigger just because you reached it. Rule 92. Resist lifestyle inflation with the same discipline you applied to building wealth. Every raise is an opportunity to accelerate your freedom or to inflate your expenses. Most people choose inflation. Don't. Rule 93. Spend on experiences before things. This isn't sentiment, it's research. Experiential purchases produce longer-lasting satisfaction than material ones. Travel, time with people you love, learning something new. These appreciate. Possessions depreciate. Rule 94. Stop performing wealth. The person driving the least luxury car and wearing borrowed status isn't wealthy. They're in debt with good optics. Build the actual thing instead of the appearance of the thing. Rule 95. Practice deliberate gratitude. Wanting more is endless. Genuinely appreciating what you have creates a psychological state that no income level can buy on its own. Rule 96. Protect your relationships. Money is the leading cause of relationship breakdown. As you build financial discipline, don't make your partner, your friends, or your family feel like line items in a spreadsheet. Rule 97. Treat your health as a financial asset. Energy, focus, and longevity are prerequisites for executing any financial strategy. Someone who earns a lot but burns out at 45 has not won. Rule 98. Understand that money is a tool. It amplifies what you already are. Given to someone generous, it creates more generosity. Given to someone anxious, it creates more anxiety. Work on the person first. Rule 99. Know what money can and cannot buy. It can buy freedom from a job you hate, from financial stress, from being trapped in decisions made by circumstance rather than choice. That freedom creates the conditions for real happiness. It doesn't create happiness itself. Rule 100. Do something with this. Most people who watch a video like this will feel motivated for approximately 20 minutes. Then, they'll go back to exactly what they were doing before. The ones who change, who actually look back at a moment like this as a turning point, don't try to implement all 100. They pick 3. They make those 3 automatic. Then they pick 3 more. 1 year from today, the gap between you and the version of yourself that did nothing will be visible. 5 years from today, it will be staggering. The information was never the problem. It never is. The action is.